that Gyanvapi mosque premises, the ASI is conducting that crucial survey. Yesterday, when the verdict came out of the Allahabad High Court, people were saying that the Muslim side is now going to instantly move the Supreme Court on this matter.
In fact, also the Supreme Court has agreed for an urgent hearing on the matter as well. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how that is going to pan out.
That urgent hearing is going to be taken up today because, Varghese, Mondays and Fridays that SLPs can be taken up. So Monday and Fridays are the days when the Supreme Court can, in fact, take a look at if it wants to admit a plea or it does not want to admit a plea, and it happens really quickly. It's a long list, and you've got the petitioners who come in, and the lawyers, they have mere minutes to convince the judges and the bench that you must admit our plea. So it's going to be interesting, like you said, what's going to happen. Also, they have done that earlier as well.
Also, Kabir, by the way, the ASI teams are at the spot. It's been split into two, is what we understand, where the survey is going to be carried out. But before that, there's a huge security presence that has been placed around the structure. Barricades have been put in, security checks have been put in because of the sensitive nature of this survey as such. This has resulted in the security aspect being heightened in and around the complex. So that is also something that we are looking at, and at the same time there have been people gathering around the complex structure as well, but they are at a far off distance as of now. Now, one of the interesting facts that I was looking at in the newspapers is that why the court had in fact come to a decision to continue with the survey. And survey at Gyanvapi can go ahead is what the Allahabad court had said yesterday. But interestingly enough, this is what they have stated. They've said that necessary in the interest of justice. The Allahabad High Court upheld a district court order and said that the proposed survey by ASI is necessary for the interest of judges and it will benefit both sides. Now, the trial court was justified is what it has said. The scientific survey investigation proposed is necessary in the interest of the justice and shall benefit the plaintiffs and defendants alike and come in the bid of the trial court to arrive at a just decision. Right. The trial court was justified in passing the impunged order. So, High Court has also
can survey Gyanvapi for sake of justice.
Yeah, that is
the sake of justice. Mosque body in the Supreme Court today. The CJI agrees for an urgent hearing, which is exactly what happened the last time around as well.
Yep.
When the survey was being carried out initially before this, the Muslim side went to the Supreme Court, an urgent hearing was taken up, and they said, you have 3-4 days to move the Allahabad High Court and solve your problem out with the Allahabad High Court essentially. And the Allahabad High Court after that gave that crucial, verdict yesterday. But my bigger question is, and I was just thinking out loud, I also had, our legal editor here with me in the studio and we were trying to decode Article 370 and the Gyanvapi mosque case. Asaduddin Owaisi says, that are you going to start digging up every place, because you'll have so many of these places. Tomorrow some Jain community will come and say, why have you built a mosque here, why have you built a temple here. Tomorrow some Sikh person can come and say, there was a Gurdwara here, why have you built a temple here. The Places of Worship Act 1991, it exists for a reason. The validity of the same is something that is going to now be questioned.
There is a huge question that was raised on the validity of it, and it's got a history with regard to Gyanvapi as well. See, Gyanvapi's first petitioner moved the petition in 1991. Then in 1998, you had the mosque committee in fact moving against it, and for 22 years this was in abeyance. Again, it was pulled up in 2019 after being in abeyance for almost 22 years. It was pulled up in 2019 where another petitioner on behalf of the original petitioner went ahead and filed a case. From there onwards, you have a cascading series of effects that's happened, and then you have these 5 Hindu women also going ahead and filing a case asking for worship rights of deities within the structure. That again led to the fact that the argument was, what was the structure that is at that place.
Should I just take the viewers through the important dates?
Yes, I think you can. I was
Before we move on, let's take a look at the important key dates. May 16, 2023. 4 plaintiffs of Shringar Gauri case filed an application before a district judge seeking an ASI survey of the Gyanvapi complex, excluding the sealed Wazu Khana area, the ablution area. July 21st, the judge orders survey on the ground. It won't violate SC order, the SC order about the ablution area, about the Wazu Khana area, and will decide plaintiff's plea to find out if mosque was built over a temple or not. July 23rd, Anjuman Intizamiya Masjid Committee, the Muslim side, files contempt plea in Supreme Court against the order. July 24th, the ASI survey begins, but halts after 4 hours when Supreme Court stays it and asks the Muslim side, the Muslim committee, to move the Allahabad High Court for relief. August 3rd, which was yesterday, the High Court upholds the district judge's order, allows the Archaeological Survey of India to conduct that survey. The AIM, meanwhile, moves the Supreme Court. Now, there's an interesting point that's mentioned over here. It says 18 pleas linked to the dispute are being heard in various courts of Varanasi besides the original suit, the verdict on which High Court is set to give on August 28th.
So that is again a
18
crucial
other
date.
pleas are also being
pleas
heard.
Are there. Also, this is what the appeal is from the committee, the mosque committee. In its appeal, the committee emphasized that the structure was always a mosque and remained a mosque as on August 15, 1947. Now, that is also the point
Of
in
great significance, right?
1991.
Place
the
of Worship Act.
Places Worship Act also gives that as the cutoff date. Okay, and therefore, findings of the survey will be rendered nugatory in views of the Places of Worship Act.
The bigger question, it seems, Varghese, here is, of course, one. Because even as the survey starts today, and the High Court has assured that there is no demolition that's going to take place in the ablution area and the Wazukhana area, the bigger question remains that, I mean, in the larger context of what's happening across the country, take a look at what's happening in Haryana, in Manipur, the notion of hatred that people are already talking about. I'm just saying, even if the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh comes out and says that, दीवारें चिल्ला चिल्ला के कह रही हैं, वहाँ पर अंदर त्रिशूल है. I mean, the Places of Worship Act exists for a reason, doesn't it? And for so many years,
that's what
the
I was
mosque
trying
and
to tell
the
yesterday.
Kashi Vishwanath Mandir
I
it's such a beautiful imagery. The mosque and the mandir right next to each other. For ages, Varanasi, on the banks of, confluence of Ganga, Yamuna, you've got the confluence of religions, of diversity, of education, culture. So much is happening.
Kabir,
Why do you want to
that's what I was saying yesterday.
That?
We were talking about that only, saying that the worship of course, the Worship of Places Act, I mean, 1991 came in 1991 because of the Ram Janmabhoomi issue, and they didn't want further. The government then didn't want any further embers to keep this thing and then turn into something like that. So what actually resulted is that you see the government acting in a manner like giving that cutoff date of 1947 to it, and but the fact remains is that we are a syncretic culture and we are a very composite culture, and as you pointed out, yes, we have certain influences of others, but then the fact remains also we cannot harp on historical negativities. I mean, historical negativities, we are all enemies with each other. There is not a single region in this country that does not have issues about historical negativities. But then we tend to focus on historical positivities where we have collaborated, where we have come into a modern republic. We have evolved from all that and we've gone beyond that. To dig out, those old issues would in fact trigger a point where these issues could come to the forefront, and the Worship of Places Act of 1991, which is now being questioned, its validity is being questioned, its factors are being questioned, and also that act is going to be the principal point of argument that the Muslim side will be putting forth in front of the Supreme Court also today. So whether that will come into focus is something that we have to see once the hearing starts. And I think it's around 10:30 a.m. when we are looking at the hearing for Gyanvapi starting.
Right, absolutely. So again today, we'll have to wait and find out as to how long will the ASI take to conduct that survey. Once today's survey is done, I'm sure the ASI team is going to be approached by media people. You exactly know the amount of media persons that are situated and stationed right outside the Gyanvapi mosque premises.